welcome to the Challenge Chronicles. I'm Devin Jordan. I'm with Trace Armstrong and Rob McIntyre. We're here to talk about the Challenge Double Agents episode 12. For all of the people that went to our YouTube channel to see the video form of this podcast last week, we apologize. If I feel like there's one thing that you can expect from us at this point, it's technical difficulties. Fingers crossed, there will be a video edition of this episode this week. We're recording it right now. And
in the daytime, which is strange.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll be able to find it at the Challenge Chronicles on YouTube. You can email us listener email questions at thechallengechronicles@gmail.com. Someone left an iTunes comment asking where they can reach out to us. So you can send us messages there. You can get a t-shirt at bigdubdiesel.com, dub with two B's. We left a lot of links for this in the notes last week. And depending on the platform, like it's hit or miss on whether or not the links actually show up. And I sent a message to Podbean, our hosting provider, and they were pretty much like, get out of here. So sorry if the links don't come through. All right, let's talk about episode 12. Rob, you said you wanted to talk about Lolo first.
Can we talk about Lolo first off?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's talk about Lolo.
So Lolo claims that her exit was actually forced by production. That apparently there was, I think they've claimed a mental health issue, if I'm reading that right. And then
didn't you say that was
out?
Didn't you say that was corroborated by other people on the cast too?
I think so. I don't know. I don't want to say anything that I don't know for sure. So she claims that, and then she also claimed that on the mission, Big T and CT were dropped outside the drop zone, and so they should have been disqualified. But she says production would have preferred Big T and CT win instead of Cam and Kyle, which is why they were given the win.
What do you mean that they were dropped out? You mean they were dropped closer to
there was like a target zone with the helicopter that you were supposed to drop into that they missed, she is claiming. So they should have been disqualified.
So it was that CT and Big T let go too late? That's what you're saying? Or that it was the helicopter's fault?
I mean, I don't know. I just have what she said. And that's what she's claiming.
Yep. Devin
disputed those claims, and then apparently somebody was saying that other cast members were actually siding with Lolo on that, but I'm not positive about that. So I mean, look, this isn't the first time we've heard about production conspiracies. It's not usual that we hear them from a cast member, but I think this is a rare circumstance. I thought that was strange, but that's turned into a public dispute, which I think will evolve as things move on.
Yeah, I tend to believe Devin. Listening to his explanation made perfect sense to me. They were like, production said, you want to aim for this target zone because if you don't drop during this target zone, then it's going to be a longer swim for you. So they did not say you would be DQ'd if you didn't drop in the target zone. They just said it would be a longer swim. And CT and Big T went last. They actually did show the order of the participants doing the challenge in order. And CT told Big T until the helicopter starts turning away from the platform, don't drop. So that's why if you rewatch it, CT is like, wait. And then the moment they start to veer away, at that point, that's when they drop. And they had a much shorter swim because they waited. So I don't feel like they did anything wrong because production never said you would be DQ'd. They just said it would be a longer swim.
Yeah, it's a longer swim if they waited longer, though? So if they waited longer, wouldn't they be closer? You know what I mean?
I mean, that's the idea because it looked like a lot of the people were dropping the moment they got to the target zone. And CT was like, nope, wait, and then drop. So the angle with which they dropped apparently made them closer. Devin said most of the people, it took them like a minute to get to the platform. It took CT and Big T like 20 seconds.
I mean, to me, that's not the more interesting part of this, the drop zone stuff. Like, I could kind of care less about that. The stuff with her being forced out, I mean, that's not without precedent on the show. If you remember Brandon on Rivals 3, he was the one who missed his girlfriend, which is why he supposedly quit. But he also claims he was forced out by production. And then there's also been rumors of, like, I think on the island, there's been rumors about people being forced to leave instead of leaving voluntarily. So this is something that's happened repeatedly throughout the history of the show, of at least cast members claiming that they were forced out by production.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Like that sounds like something within the realm of possibilities that they would do.
So do we think then it's just like a HIPAA violation, and then, which is why that is portrayed in the way that it is?
Yes,
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that.
If she didn't want to like openly admit that was the reason why, which I
Well,
mean,
she just did now. I think for the purposes of the show, there could be legal reasons for why they have to do it in the way they do.
Yep.
Well, not necessarily. Like, I think if she was fine and openly wanted like people to know that that's why she was leaving, I think that they would be fine with that. It sounds like there was some pushback on her part about why it was actually happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she directly claims that production forced her out. Like,
that's what I mean. Yeah. She's not in agreement with them that there was some type of mental health issue, and I think that's why they went down.
No. I don't even think was she disputing that?
I don't think she was disputing that she was depressed. I think what she was disputing is that she chose to leave, and instead production they said you have to go home. And I will speak up on this a little bit. So I have no shame in admitting that I suffer from chronic depression. I take medication for it, and with medication, it keeps the edge off. And for people that don't suffer from chronic depression, here's just an insight on it. One of my favorite things, if you look behind me, there's Disney World attraction posters. My wife and I love going to Disney World. When I am in the midst of a depression like wave, and sometimes it just happens, like there's no controlling it. Like you could literally, when I'm in a depression mode, drop me into the middle of Disney World with a beer, my friends and my family, and I would still be miserable and not be able to be happy, because there's just something chemically that just does not work in my brain sometimes. And so the medication I take doesn't eliminate that, but it lessens the severity, and it also lessens the frequency of these depression attacks. And watching Lolo in that episode before she left, her eyes looked dead. And it was obvious to me, at least as someone who suffers from it, that she was at a really, really low point. And for her own mental health, if production felt they needed to remove her, I absolutely think they did the right thing, because you're only going to hurt yourself or get in a bigger depression spiral being in that environment. So that's just my take on it.
Yeah, I don't know if there's, I don't know. I was going to say, I don't know if there's a really big incentive for production to want to remove Lolo voluntarily, especially after they've had such bad luck with the women's side of the cast this year, as far as people leaving. I think
had like as far as like leave from the women's side now.
Yeah, as far as like a tinfoil hat theory about they wanted Lolo to leave to make an easier path for X to win, I don't necessarily see it.
I don't,
because we talked about last week. She was in an incredible spot as far as her path to a potential victory. Right at this point in time, everyone that did not have a skull for the women's side was very beatable as far as her ability to get a skull. And then at that point, it would come down to her, Casey, and Cam in the final. So I don't know, but I definitely think that's an interesting point. All right. So before the episode last night, Rob sent us a message, and what did you say? You were like, what are the chances that we get some really off the walls twist for the security breach?
Just something that we're going to look back on like this was absolutely ridiculous, which I think
in hindsight, do you think? No, because like I think in hindsight, that was actually very predictable as far as them just wanting to evening out the numbers. Because after they got rid of two of the men, that brought the numbers between men and women completely back to even. And I think if they knew that Nam was going to be removed later on, they just wouldn't have even done the elimination to begin with. Because apparently they felt a big need to really get those numbers back in line.
Yeah, I do feel kind of bad for Josh in that he was able to swing the numbers in his way, and it just didn't work.
Yeah,
that's the part that's pretty BS because, like, do you think it makes you wonder what the votes would look like if people knew that there were 2 people going in? So I think that's the one mistake, right? Like, I think I would have preferred that they just tell everyone, hey, you're voting for 2 people to go in tonight.
So, well, do they have to vote for 2 people, or just the second person with the second most votes is going to go?
I don't know. What do we think would be better? I think
you say the top 2 vote getters go in, because then the politics have to play out where people have to figure out how to split votes.
That gets so complicated.
I know, which is why I think that's way more interesting to say the top 2 teams that get votes are both going in.
I kind of think if you get 2 votes, that makes it more interesting, right? Because then
I honestly don't think they knew that when they were voting. Like that production knew that while they were voting, they were going to do double, because Lolo voted. So they didn't even know she had left.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Because that was actually true, because they were asking, like, in hindsight, they said they should have thrown Nam in instead of Devin. Like, in hindsight, they said that would have been the smarter play.
No, I don't think they said that. Cam and Wes got into a dispute about it on Twitter. Because Wes backed up my position that why wouldn't they put in Nam? Because then, like, what they do. But it does seem, because Cam responded to him and was like, look, CT wouldn't have thrown himself in if Nam was in. Leroy probably would have gone in.
We can read the list. Keep talking, and then I'll pull up the listener email, because they said the same thing. It seems like, based on Cam's position, that everybody was under the assumption that you had to beat somebody with a skull to get a skull. That if you didn't go up against somebody with a skull,
we
still don't know. Yeah, we don't know at this point.
So is that them just making an assumption, you think, or is production explicitly told them that?
I think they're making an assumption.
That's a good question. Yeah, we really don't know.
Because everybody, like Wes, Cam, everybody in the cast seems to be under that assumption. That just seems to be what people think. I guess nobody's seen the island before, outside of us, unfortunately.
No one on that cast was on the island, that's for sure.
Someone left us a Alpha review, which we greatly appreciate. By the way, this is from the Dodd, and it's where do I send com ... asking where does he send a comment. You can send those to the chronicles@gmail.com. He writes, why not vote in Nam in episode 11 ... because then CT could have put in Leroy or Fessy against Nam, and they don't want to go back in. So if you don't give CT someone with a skull, then his payback is making one of them battle to keep their skull. Just an idea. So yeah, they really should just tell us explicitly what's going on with how you can get a skull if you currently don't have a skull. I think it would make this a lot easier to watch, though. What do they gain by keeping it from us? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they really gain anything by not telling us.
They love those big reveals where they reveal whatever nonsense twist they have, and the cast goes all crazy. Like, they love to. Like last season when they reveal the skulls are even in play, and then the week after that they revealed a D like at the elimination when she's in jeans. Like, oh yeah, you can put yourself in. Like, all right, great, you just giving it to her now when she's doesn't even have her jersey with her.
Yeah.
Do you think that the intention? This is probably giving them way too much credit. So even before I say this, I think it's probably a no. But do you think the reason that they don't tell them that you still can get a skull, or they just don't even tell them that that's an option, that you can get a skull by not going in against someone that doesn't have a skull, is because they want to create one more matchups and better suspense, right? Because then at that point, you would go for someone that has a skull. And that would inherently
there would be matchups. I think the people
hold on. There would be more drama though, right? If a skull is at stake, and that's kind of what they want to create as a television show. You know what I mean, kind of.
Well, but if the skull is already at stake, then we would know that no matter, because like now if we watch an elimination between two people without skulls, there's like no stake in it. Versus if we know that beforehand, then there's a stake in it, and there's also the question of who are they going to steal from? Then everybody who has a skull is concerned.
Does it create a better matchup? Let's see.
Why does it create better matchups? I think basically everybody left is like,
because of the people.
None of the six people left are cream puffs. Like any matchup we're going to get from here on out is going to be a powerhouse on the guys' side at least.
Yep.
Well, not for the women's side.
No, with the women's side, I think outside of Cam and Casey, though, everybody else is kind of on an even playing field.
So at this point, there are. Yeah. So I don't know why they do it. Like, I really have no idea.
They just love these reaction shots. They love these reaction shots, and I also think they like to be able to make whatever decision at the last possible second. I think they like keeping all of their options open. Whereas if they reveal the rules beforehand, then they have something they have to stick to.
Yeah, I think really, that's part of it.
there would be more suspense. Just thinking this out loud, there would be more suspense if two people, or it would be like a better TV moment if there were two people that did not have a skull that went up against each other, and then the winner was able to steal a skull. That would be
Definitely.
way more. That would be a way better TV moment than someone having to go in against someone that already has a skull.
I think as an overall from an overall like game perspective, I think the people with the skulls are getting screwed by this. Just in that
they have to go back in
like
again.
if they have to get pulled in, yeah, then why would they put themselves in already?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. You're really incentivized to
Honestly,
just like.
I think the skulls were kind of an overcorrection for War of the Worlds 2, when the issue was just the team format. It wasn't that like they were fixing a problem that wasn't even there.
Yep, completely. Yeah, Devin is starting to shine and shimmer again.
Yeah,
so
Devin, we're kind of losing you. Like your video's all off, like it's super blurry.
We're pulling the stand-up desk
up.
up.
It looks like I'm watching like the Extreme Challenge all of a sudden with your video quality.
We're trying to work on the sunlight right now. There we go.
I think we've also got a UFO who's like
That's
trying to abduct him at the moment.
Well played.
All right.
Oh my gosh. The other thing to think about though that was interesting from doing the suspenseful reveal, they love that confessional that Sarah Rice would do every season. This changes everything. Like that's the kind of reaction they're looking for.
You know who they lean
on with this stuff? Like I don't know.
You know who they lean on that for now? And in my notes from this last episode, I wrote down he's gotten to be really good at Kyle, dude. I feel like they lean on Kyle for this a lot.
Too, yeah.
They really do.
He showed up.
I think it's been a lot of Corey and a lot of Anissa for just like the narrator stuff.
Dude, we looked at this.
Anissa's been like the narrator for like every scene on the confessional side.
I don't know. Like if we look at confessional accounts, I bet you Kyle's higher than both of them.
No, but I'm saying Anissa never has confessionals talking about Anissa. Anissa's confessionals are always just talking about the scene.
That's
yes,
true. No,
because she's not doing anything otherwise now. I mean, literally, she's
just kind of
invisible in this situation. In this part.
Kind of facilitating. She's just a narrator confessional. All right, do we want to actually talk about this episode now?
Kyle had real quick. So Kyle and Corey led last night with the most confessionals. They each had 14.
I didn't have that. I had CT and Darrell with the most.
I accidentally searched.
I had CT and Darrell.
Good result for Total Madness. This is okay. Double Agents. Here we go. So for Double Agents, not Total Madness. The answer is Darrell was in a lot. So CT had 13. Darrell had 11. Big T 10, and then
13 and 11. They must be counting the on the site scenes as confessional.
And then Corey,
to me,
Kyle,
that does count as a confessional.
9. Corey, Kyle, and Leroy had 9.
It depends on how they shoot it. Like the CT had one where when he was setting up the one thing for Big T, that the camera it was kind of set up like a confessional, but it was also just at the house, and it was not the format I would usually give a confession. But he was talking to the camera.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard. I feel like whenever you're talking to the camera, you can make the argument that it's a confessional.
Yeah, because I feel like he was narrating what he was trying to do. Like he was very much. I don't know if it's a confessional per se, but I would definitely say his post-elimination win where he skipped into the frame and was all jolly. That was a confession.
I counted that.
Guess who has for the season? Who's like the top 4
I know
people
this
are.
Already, so I feel like it's not fair for me to weigh in.
Still
okay,
guess,
so if I'm having to guess, I don't know. So let me get
after Trace guesses, guess Rob. Yep, CT.
I've had Devin with the most for a while.
So it's CT and Devin are tied, number 1, with 87. Okay. CT, Devin,
that makes
Cam,
sense. CT outpaced Devin this episode.
Big T and Kyle. Okay.
I'm going to have a change in my power rankings this week, too. There's a huge change in my power rankings.
Well, I mean,
Big T number 1?
Of course. She's the heavyweight. What are you talking about?
Let's just talk about that now. Let's talk about the eliminations first, and then we can talk about...
What do we think about Devin calling out Darrell? I thought he should have called out Fessy.
No, he made the right decision.
Why?
100% believe he made the right decision. Because first of all, you want Fessy to show up in that final with Anissa as his partner because they can't win. They literally cannot win if Anissa is his partner.
Fessy, one of two things happens. Either he goes home or Fessy goes home. Like, he's not worrying about that at that point.
Well, no. If Fessy wins, he picks a new partner.
But then Devin's gone anyways.
Right, but I hear that. I think, though, that from a strategic standpoint, here's the problem. If I think Devin knew he was probably going home once he was going to have to go in. Like, I think he had already mentally prepared himself for that.
Why can't he beat Fessy in that?
He might have, actually. The fact that Darrell won a puzzle is a first, by the way. That has never happened in the history of the show. He's never won a puzzle. So kudos to Darrell for making that happen. But no, he made the right decision, because if I'm thinking strategically, and let's say Devin thinks he can really beat Darrell, which, knowing Darrell's puzzle history, it wasn't a horrible choice. It really was not a horrible choice. And it took Darrell a long time to do the puzzle. It just happened to take Devin just as long. So
he got screwed over. He got screwed over by not being able to go in against Corey, and by Corey being the rogue agent. That would have been, if he could have chosen anyone, that's who he chooses, right?
Yeah,
I really think I think Corey's like not as bad. Like, I don't think he's that much worse than the rest of these people in puzzles.
Stop.
That was a long time ago, dude. Invasion was a long time ago.
Dude, I actually agree with Rob. Like, Corey is not that horrible. Like, if you look at the Mayo
Hunter
cast,
and Nelson, and Hunter beat Kyle on a puzzle. So, like, I mean, transitive property. Kyle's worse.
I would feel much more. I will just never be able to get that image of him and Nicole out of my mind. Is that one of like the all-time challenge? Like that's up there with that's up there with Dutch. You know what I mean? They speak Dutch in Australia.
or
like
Muhammad Gandhi.
in Australia.
Muhammad Gandhi is like the worst one. Saying Muhammad Ali was Gandhi. Like, I mean, how much worse can it get?
It's pretty bad. But yeah, no, I don't think Corey's that bad. I mean, when you look at it, though, if you had to pick, Devin, between going up against Darrell or Corey, you're picking Corey, right?
In a puzzle or in anything?
Anything.
Yeah, I could pick Corey, but I think he should have picked Fessy. Here's my thing for Fessy's much larger than Devin, which in that type of elimination you can see where that could be a problem. His track record with puzzles is mixed, to say the best. And then also, look, if he beats Fessy, then that frees up another skull. So then there's another skull like on the loose for the men, and then he doesn't have to go in next week. If he beats Darrell, there's a decent chance Corey next week is going to ask for Devin, and Devin has to go back in again.
Why would he have?
Well, Devin and Corey were working together. I don't see that happening.
No, Corey was rooting for Darrell.
Oh, he was? Never mind.
Look, if Devin beats Fessy, now there's only 4 skulls available for the men because Fessy's skull is gone, and then I don't know what they do with that. But which means that next week, next week Corey goes in against Darrell, and then the winner of them has the last goal. That's the last goal for the men. If Devin beats Darrell, there's a decent chance he goes in next week again anyways.
Why wouldn't Devin have to go in next week?
Because then if Devin beats Fessy, then that means there's 4 men left with skulls. The 5th skull, we don't know what happens to that skull, like Fessy's old skull. He would still want to go in against Devin, though. Not necessarily. If there's a skull free, Darrell and Corey both want to go, and they both get to go in next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, like, if it's their choice, I think they would much rather go against Devin than they would
but like
against each other.
At that point, what usually happens with that, if you have 2 people incentivized that both want to go in, nobody else wants to go in, usually they end up going in against each other. That's what happens.
But this week, we were kind of in a similar situation, and CT wanted to go against Josh, and that was conceivable.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Josh didn't want to go in, though. Next week, Darrell would want to go in, and Corey would want to go in. If that happens, almost always those 2 people get to go in.
You don't think that there were 2 other people that wanted to go in this week? Not even thinking about it. Let me look at this.
No, Devin, I think you're misunderstanding. So this week, if Devin picks Fessy, Devin beats Fessy, Fessy's skull is now back in play.
I get what he's saying.
Next time, you put the 2 people without skulls in to battle.
They both want to go in.
And it protects all the people with skulls.
I don't know if they would want to do that, though. I honestly don't know.
Why? They would definitely want to go in.
I don't know. Because how many chances do you think they have left? I think they would both want to go in, but I think they would both want to go in, but I think that Darrell would probably rather go in against Devin than Corey.
But Darrell doesn't have enough leverage to say that. He's going to just go in and he's going to go in.
The skulls are going to protect their own. They're not going to put – it's just not happening. And besides, at that point, if you know that there will be 5 men left and 5 skulls, then this next one will be the last men's elimination. They said 5 skulls, and there will be 5
running the final, though. I could see them running the final with 4.
I mean, they could even purge it down to 3. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? But, at that point, I think it makes much more sense for if Devin takes out Fessy, that gives him a much more likely scenario, at least, where he is not going in again. Whereas if he beats Darrell now, he's still the weakest of those guys left. I mean, the other four are CT, Leroy, Fessy, and who am I missing?
Regardless of what he does, he's still the weakest guy. He would be the weakest guy
he's
from
still the
now until
weakest
the end
guy,
of the season.
but at that point, at least, there's another skull loose. And then he's not like so blaring a target, whereas you have to pick a skull. Now you don't have to pick a skull. Now you just have to go in.
I think if we had any idea of what they do in situations at this point in time when two people without a skull compete against each other, when all the skulls are taken, I think that would change kind of how I feel about this a little bit.
Yeah. I think the only thing that I will put my stake on with this is I can understand why he should have picked Fessy. But then there's this other part of me that's like, Fessy's a real threat to win the final. But if they stay partners, if this stays a partner final and he has to run it with Anissa, he is not going to win.
He's done. Yeah,
you just can't worry about that when at that point with your Devin. Because if you beat him, he's not there. If you beat him, he's not even there. So then you don't have to worry about it.
If I'm Fessy at this point, and he may be waiting to do this, but if they think it's likely that they will compete the final with the partners that they currently have, or the partners that they go into the final with, I want to go back in there because I want to win and try and get a different partner. Because if Anissa is my partner, there is zero chance that I win the final. Not zero chance, but like a 5% chance.
It's small.
I win the final. It's like nothing.
It's definitely much less than if he was paired with Casey or Cam.
Don't you think he should want to do that?
Let's assume, yeah, absolutely he would.
I think it depends on what he sees. Like if it's another situation where if it's like the elimination that Kyle beat Joseph in, then I think he's a pretty clear favorite against pretty much maybe him and Darrell would be an interesting matchup, but he's got a good shot against Corey in that, or he's got a good shot against Kyle in that.
I'm just talking about like a general elimination, right? On average, I think he beats. Let's look at he beats everyone except Darrell, right? On average.
My thing is, I think there's still a decent chance he gets picked by one of these women.
It's possible.
I mean, that would be huge for him. Yeah, and we saw that.
If Nani even said that, she said if she wins, she's picking Fessy.
Yeah, that's true.
So I didn't even take that into account. Because her and Gabby still have not been in.
That's super random for them to put in there too. You know what I mean? They just splice that in that Nani would choose.
And they do that. Like we got, or like part of the reason why I think CT and Cam had their stuff earlier in this season is like that they ended up being paired together afterwards. Like I think they like to. And then one thing I thought remember was interesting is way back in like the very first intro episode, Devin was talking to Lolo. And he was like, Darrell's one weakness, puzzles. And then he gets beat by him in this episode.
That's pretty funny. That's what I'm saying. I feel like this season, the editors have done a great job giving us little moments that are paying off later in the season. So as much as I like to criticize what they do, I really am impressed with the level of editing and foreshadowing and payoffs to some of these. Because a lot of times we'll watch Survivor or The Challenge and there'll be these like random things. They're like, oh, that might be leading to something. And then it goes nowhere. Like, I remember having that feeling when we were watching Winners at War where they kept talking about Adam's mental state. And I'm like, oh, does that mean something's going to happen with Adam? Because why are they spending 4 minutes talking about this? And then they never, like, nothing comes of it, period. So, there are those moments, but I feel like every little random tidbit we've gotten has had a payoff in some way, shape, or form this season.
All right. We kind of buried one of the leads here. So what do we think about the way that CT reacted when after he won the elimination?
It was not good.
It was a lot.
After he won the elimination and chose to take Cam as a partner and leave Big T. So do you think this was an attempt by him to distract everyone from the fact that he was stabbing Big T in the back? Do you think that's what this was? This was forced enthusiasm?
I think a little bit, but I also think he was just over emotional. Like he danced into the confessional scene. I think he was just over emotional.
I think so too. I think he felt like he was told by Leroy, we're just not ever going to let you try to get a skull. We're going to try to freeze you out of the eliminations. And so I think he had it in his head that with Big T as his partner, he was never going to get a shot to get a skull. And the fact that he was, and then they tried to give him the matchup he didn't want against his friend Devin, who he was working with, and he still got the guy he wanted in Josh. I'm sure that his emotions were just like, man, this all worked out perfectly. I got my skull. I got it beating the guy I knew I could beat. And I'm getting rid of Big T and I'm going to pick Cam. So I think he just was over the top emotional, and it kind of dawned on him later that, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
See, I thought that was really bad. I honestly thought his apology was worse. I thought that was
all right,
let's
just
really
talk about
was
that now.
bad.
It was terrible.
So
he starts off
inconsistent, and he also basically put her as a burden put her like in between him winning money for his kid. Like that was so much worse.
So he starts off good in the apology, right? He starts off good, and then he says, well, he starts saying he's sorry. Where did he go? It was
the first thing he does is just say, let him have it, which I don't like as an apology. I don't think that's a good way to approach the subject.
Yeah, he says that he's sorry, and then it really goes off the rails once he starts talking about how she's not ready for the final. It's like, all right, stop. You know what I mean? Like
you can't do that, dude. Like that was so bad.
All you have to say is
he's like, I'm gonna tell my kids that I wasn't gonna be able to win money because they'd be like, what are you doing, dude? That's like, people will talk about gaslighting and not actually know what it means. That is gaslighting.
That is real. That's not the way it is bastardized. That is actual gaslighting.
All he has to say is, well, they also get into an argument over the difference between lying to someone and breaking a promise. And CT thinks that there's a difference between the two. And so
I actually agree with him on that, though. Okay.
In this case,
that's just such semantics. Who cares?
It's semantics.
Who cares? It's a definitional difference. It shouldn't have any impact on the situation. Who cares?
At the end of the day, I think CT messed up huge here from a standpoint of Big T just said, look, if you had just said, hey, Big T, it's been great. Appreciate you helping me get my skull. I'm going to help you get yours, but I'm going to get Cam because she gives me the better chance to win the final. If he does that, she's upset, but it's not like a big deal.
He didn't rub salt in the wound.
Oh, he really rubbed salt in the wound and made her look stupid. Like, really made her look stupid. And ugh.
So do you think his argument was, and I guess this would be the difference between lying and breaking a promise. So do you think his argument is that in the moment when he promised Big T that he wouldn't leave her as a partner, he actually meant that? And later on,
no,
I don't think, and that's the difference.
The argument that he's trying to make.
Starting from the after show. Real quick, from the after show, Nam said that CK came up to him and he asked him if it was okay if he took Lolo as a partner. So clearly, it was always in CT's head he was going to switch.
Yeah.
So because he asked him to take Lolo, he talked to. So they also mentioned he had gone to somebody else next week to take their partner. Like that was clearly always That was always what was going to be his game.
How do you think he's trying to justify this then? Do we have any idea?
I think he's just all over the place. I think he's got no mental consistency.
Yeah. Well, I think the other piece of this, and this is something Big T should have been prepared for happening. I mean, the way CT went about it was wrong and it made it worse, but it's the challenge. Okay. People are only concerned about winning. Yeah,
but she was prepared for it. She clearly stated. No, I think she was. I think she was perfectly in the right, and I think he was an absolute dick with how he did it in the crater, and then even worse when his fake apology with the blankets and fireplace.
And that's where he messed up, because at the end of the day, he was never going to keep her as a partner ever. Like, it was just, he was getting rid of her the moment he could. And if he had just done it a better way, she'd have been upset, like I said.
Look. And a partner, a lot of times you saw when we ran the mission, you need to have a partner who's similar size to you. Cam is a much more similar size to me than you are. You should be with a partner who's similar size to you. That gives us both a better chance to win. There's so many ways you can couch it besides the way he did.
Yeah.
Having lived near Boston, though, that is the mindset and the culture with the way
I'm not going to cast aspersions on an entire region by somebody being a dick.
Well, he was, but here's the thing, okay? And yes, you're right. I'm not trying to cast an aspersion on a whole region, but when you live in that region, everybody talks and acts like a dick for the most part that are from that area.
I have non-dickish friends that are from.
But here's the thing, like, it's not that they're being a dick. That's just how they talk. And it's just like brutal, honest.
Even how he was talking, dude. That's him. He had no mental consistency with his messaging. He's just making weird semantics differences with his apologies that don't actually mean anything.
I don't disagree with that.
If you ever thought CT wasn't going to do this, go back and watch the first Inferno and see how he treated Leah when they wanted to get Leah off the team.
Yep.
Man, the heel turn here, like, is this like, because he's really rehabilitated the image to the years. This is really bad though.
Well, CT said that in his confessional, he's like, man, do I want to play this straight or do I want to be the scumbag? I kind of want to be the scumbag. And so he just made an active choice to be the old CT for a few minutes is what happened. That's really what happened.
I don't know, dude. I thought it was horrible all around.
It was bad. I don't disagree. The way he treated her was awful and the way he went about it was awful. But at the same time, I wasn't like terribly surprised either because CT has gotten some really generous edits over the last few seasons.
It certainly appears so.
And the cast members have said like CT's really not changed all that much. He's a lot softer around the edges, but he's still kind of a dick. And I think we finally got an edit that showed it.
Let's talk about the argument that him and Kyle get after the elimination and after CT when he takes Cam as a partner.
Your ham or whatever it was.
Yeah, I was so distracted by that. I'm glad that you caught that too. So when Kyle and CT are in an argument over CT picking Cam as a partner, CT throughout this entire argument is like just eating an entire container of deli meat. Just like straight out of the carton.
Did he just grab it from the fridge? I felt bad for the rest of the house. Like, how often is this is now the second argument in 2 seasons where deli meats played a significant factor?
Was it the good salami last season?
Well, Jordan was using the salami in his argument with West. That just was.
And like, Tori was like, Jordan, not the good salami, which implies there was the bad salami.
Like, we need that one. Grab the bologna or whatever's on the side. That's expensive.
Oh boy, what an argument though! Like I understand where both of them come from, though.
They both backstabbed each other so many times. Like I was not surprised to see that come to a head.
And what have we seen?
Back in episode 1.
That's true, but when have we shown Kyle to not backstab people in the show? Like he has been just as backstabbing as CT
he's
was.
Been pretty loyal to Johnny and Wes at least.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Johnny, there was the scene on War of the Worlds 1 where he tells Wes to put Johnny in, but I don't know how serious he was with that.
Yeah, who knows?
I think if he really sticks to the people he like really sticks to, but then I also think he's kind of like Wes or Devin, where he really plays up the backstabber card because it makes for good TV, whereas his actions, how often they stick to that is up for debate.
That's fair. The thing that I understand for Kyle though. Imagine how devastated if you're Kyle in this situation, because he even said it in his confessional. The worst case scenario for him has now happened. CT now has a skull, which is bad for all the guys on the cast. He loses arguably the best female on the cast right now. And he's back with Nani, who he already left to go be with Cam.
Did
and Nani
pick somebody else
is devastated because of Josh leaving.
The thing with Nani, that keeps him in that group where he's still with Leroy and Cam because Nani's in that group. Should he just pick somebody else though?
No, because Gabby, are you going to pick Big T? No, probably not.
I think Big T does give you some advantages in that there's such a huge size disparity where there is a lot of events that, like the one that her and CT won earlier in the season where you have to hold the person up. That does give him at least, I think, a higher chance to win it. That puts him in a specialized position where I think he could have a decent chance to win.
Say that again. What? Hold on. What are you trying to say there? For the one where you hold them on the ledge?
Yeah, the thing is, sometimes with these missions, people you just want to be in an extreme position. You either want to be the closest pair in size, or you want to be the farthest away in terms of your ability to win a mission going forward. Because she's going to win a mission at some point, and she's probably going to leave him anyways.
Who?
Big T.
Kyle.
You think?
No, Big T. I'm saying she has to win an elimination. She has to go into elimination at some point, so she's going to leave him at some point anyway.
Leave who? Kyle.
If she can win an elimination.
If she wins, though, she's probably not going back to him.
I don't think honestly at this point, I think if any female that Kyle is paired up with is in an elimination and wins, they're going to pick somebody else.
That's what I'm saying.
So I don't think it really matters. He has a higher chance
to win a mission with Big T than with Nani.
Win a mission with Big T?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
But what mission is he winning with Nani?
Nani's just a better competitor overall than Big T.
It doesn't matter. What mission is he winning?
What
You could ask the same thing with Big T.
Wait, hold on. How does it not matter that Nani's a better competitor?
If you're trying to win a mission, it's not about it's about who has the best team for that mission and who has the best team overall. There's certain stuff with Big T where he's going to have the largest size disparity in partners, and then they have a decent chance to win.
Yeah, but how many of those missions this season have even come up?
1, 2, maybe 2.
I think I get your argument, but I think that has a much
smaller. Nani winning.
That has a much smaller effect than. I don't think they're going to win a lot of missions to begin with, but I think he has a better chance with Nani than Big T.
I don't know. I don't agree with that. I think with Big T, it puts him in a position.
No, dude, I completely disagree.
Because the thing is, if he's with Big T, there are certain missions where he has to actually, like, he's one of the 2 or 3 favorites to win it because of just how important size disparity is and how important being able to lift up your partner is. Whereas if he's with Nani, he's never being favored over CT or Cam. He's never being favored over Leroy and Casey. He's never being favored over at that. He's almost always one of the weakest teams.
So I get what you're saying, but I think that those missions are. We've had 1 or 2 of those this season. So I think that's the first point. And then the second point is how much bigger is Nani than Big T? I think that's pretty marginal.
I think Nani's a decent bit bigger than Big T.
No. I'll look it up while you guys talk.
Oh, all right. Looking at these heights and weights,
I just think, Rob, like you're if it was earlier in the season, I could buy your argument, but they're so close to the final at this point. You have to put yourself in the best position to win the final at this point. And let's be real. Here's what's going to happen. Nani's going to get her skull if she wins her elimination. She's going to pick Fessy, and Kyle's going to get stuck with Anissa. So, he is looking at, in dire circumstances.
His partner is going to leave him anyways for the final. Any partner he would have picked wouldn't have a skull and would likely leave him before the final anyways. I'm saying he needs to put himself in the best position to win a mission going forward, so he has some power.
That's fair. I think the only person that maybe might stick to him would be Gabby. Because
maybe.
I mean, Gabby might still try to pick CT or somebody, but at least he's going to get Cam, or he's going to get, if she picks Darrell, she gets Amber. But we know Nani's going to pick Fessy, which means you're going to get Anissa.
Are you sure she's going to, she doesn't pick just Leroy or something? She's going to stick to her words with Josh?
So
I think she looks at Fessy as the best athlete that's there, and she's going to pick the best athlete. So she's going to go with the person.
Nani's not that small, dude. Nani's a decent bit bigger than Big T.
How tall would you guess that Nani is?
5'6", 5'7".
Yeah, 5'6".
This is 5'8". I don't think that's right. Do you?
I would have said 5'7".
That.
She's not that small.
All right. So even regardless of that, you're still couching this for. What to this point in the season?
What else are you trying to do? What else are you trying to couch it for? You're not running the final with this person. They're going to go back into elimination.
Yeah, but you want to stay out. You want to stay out of elimination as much as you can. So
that's why you want to win a mission.
Yeah, and I think he has a better chance of winning a mission than he does with Big T. With Big T, he has zero chance. He has zero chance, dude. Well, no, he doesn't. If he gets another size disparity mission, which they do have relatively frequently, he has a very good chance to win with Big T. Whereas if he's with Nani, there's no mission he should be in the top 3 teams for. So what percentage of the time do you think they do a mission like that?
Let me look it up. I think it happens more often than you think.
10%?
I would say less than 10%. I'd say 5%, and they've already had one. And you're getting towards the end of the season where the missions tend to be more
final based.
Yeah, the one that we're seeing at the end of this episode is the overnight mission that they have sometimes done in recent seasons. And so you're really looking at stamina and mental prowess to get through what they're going to do for the beginning of the next episode.
So the probability that he wins with Big T is, let's say they do the type of mission like that 10% of the time, right? It would be 10% times the probability that he would actually win the mission with Big T, which let's give him an 80% chance, right? So that means it would be an 8% chance, and 80% is really high. That means there's an 8% chance that he would win a potential mission with Big T going forward. I think if he picks Nani as a partner, he has a better chance than that. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do not agree.
I don't know.
I understand where you're coming from. I still think But I also think he's not drawn completely dead with Big T in these other missions. There's other missions he could win, where there's just like the drone type missions, like there's just other, or even the one they're going to do this week. Like we don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah, I just think they're so close to the final. You want to try to set yourself up with a partner you think is going to help you win a final, and Big T is not going to help you win a final.
None of these people have skulls. They're going to have to go back in anyways, and they're probably going to leave him.
Well, he also has the ability to play politics. Like, let's say he's able to make nice with Nany, and he's able to somehow convince her not to trade partners. Like, that's your play. Because she's better than Big T.
Well, but I think if you're in a why would he end up with Big T at that circumstance? Like, I think if he trades with Nany, maybe he gets Anissa. But let's see. Would you rather have Amber B or Nany in a final?
Nany at the moment, just because Nany's run a final. Amber B, if she had run a final and I'd seen it, I mean, I don't think Amber B's going to be a bad partner, but she's an unknown. Like, she's a very big unknown.
Yeah, but I'd kind of rather have an unknown than Nany. I feel like Nany's known below average.
I would say she's objectively average. I wouldn't say that she's below average. Like, I think she's about as
below average to average, yeah.
If she had done a better job pedaling the bike on free agents because of Laurel getting stuck with Zach where he's laying on the side of the mountain, Nany would have won the free agents final. But she mentally broke on the bicycle.
Close? I don't think she was even.
She only lost really by like 8 minutes. And
it was really close.
She spent an extra 30 minutes on the bike. She would have beat Laurel by almost 20 minutes in free agents because of how long Zach laid on the side of that mountain.
Johnny brings it up in the reunion for free agents. That's pretty much what it came down to.
Yeah, it was only 8 minutes, man.
If she had not spent an extra 20 or 30 minutes
Laurel's like hiring a bounty, like hiring an assassin to go to Zach's house after that.
Pretty much, yeah. She would have killed him. Like, if she had lost that final because of him, he might not have made another season because she would have killed him and thrown him off the mountain. But that's the thing. Nany, physically, if you are able to keep her mentally motivated, she can perform. Like, that's the thing. She needs a partner that will keep her head in the game. Ago.
Like, that was 7 years ago now.
If anything, I would say that she's improved since then, though.
I would say she's better now than she was then.
I thought she was pretty solid on War of the Worlds 1. Since then, I have not been impressed by her at all.
That being said, I think there's an ocean of that separates her and Big T as far as competitors.
Yeah. In hindsight, in really big hindsight, and Kyle probably is not privy to the fact that Nany is definitely going to pick Fessy if she wins. Yeah. Knowing what we know as a viewer, his best play was to pick Gabby of those three that were left. She's still going to go into...
Gabby I could have seen too.
She's still going to have to go into elimination to get a skull, and even if she picks somebody else, he has a much better likelihood that maybe she doesn't pick Fessy and he doesn't get stuck with Anissa. Because if you're stuck with Anissa on this final, you're not winning. It's just there's no way 4 teams break a leg in the middle of this final. And that's not me bagging on Anissa, like, is this horrible? But we've just seen physically she is not in the shape to survive based on what we've seen.
It'll be interesting to see what they do for the final this time around.
Do you think she would have even been able to complete the final last year?
Yeah, she could have done last year's.
I feel like she can finish it. It would just take her a really long time.
We'll see what happens. I mean, it's just the guy side now is with Devin and Josh gone. It's really been trimmed down to where everybody there is very competent. So I think it's going to come much more down to the women.
I agree. I think at this point, having a better female partner is what's going to win the final. If it indeed stays partners, they could break this up into individuals to get there. We'll see. I think it would behoove them, because why all the partner switching?
Yeah,
then it's meaningless at the end of the season. You know, like.
And that's been that's really been the hook with this season, has been the partners and the partner switching. Like, I think for just throw it to the side wouldn't be advantageous.
I like the idea from a marketing standpoint to be able to say this team won $1 million. You know,
and instead it's also I also think it's much easier to shoot the final. We know much more what's going on when it's in pairs versus in individuals. If it's in individuals, you have 10 different people running the final. That's so many camera jumps. Like, at least this way, there's only 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we still don't know how many people they're going to keep.
Well, regardless, it's going to be half as many.
Yeah. I guess we can talk about what we thought about the eliminations in general. So
I mean,
Josh versus CT. CT did that puzzle like he was breathing.
they said afterwards in the after show too that Terrell and CT both said they had just been doing those with like their those puzzles with their kids all the time. So yeah, the dads had the advantage on that one.
That's pretty much one of the biggest ways that you can prepare for the show is just doing
learn
puzzles.
tangrams. I mean, they're in every season somehow. Like every season, you will see
tangrams and slide puzzles. You got to do it.
Yep. If you want to win the show and there's puzzles involved, just learn slide puzzles and tangrams. Helpful tip for all you future.
Hunter and there's people who have been doing the show. You have to think that they're at least doing that a little bit on the side, right? Like, well, in between, you telling me in between bench press sets, Hunter's not pulling out the app on his phone and
no, I don't think so.
Ask him, tweet at him.
Well, I'll
do you think Nelson does?
I'll see who's available. What?
Do you think Nelson does?
I mean, he did,
I actually don't think he might.
Say at one point that he was doing puzzles on an app on his phone.
I do. There was a confessional that he talked about where he said he downloaded puzzle apps and was working on puzzles. So what was the
last time we saw him try to do a puzzle?
It's been a while. I think it's been since Dirty 30.
The opening episode of Total Madness, when they had the opening mission, they had a puzzle involved in that. I don't think we really saw him try to do it though.
And then I guess we already talked about Darrell and Devin, or we talked about Devin calling out Darrell, but then the actual elimination.
I didn't think there was much to write home about. I thought it was pretty
So
sorry, everybody. I'm having this is in the middle of prime work time for me for all of you watching or listening. So if you see me keep grabbing my phone, my email and chat is blowing up with work. So I'm good, but I just want you guys to know I'm not ignoring you on purpose.
I guess we can talk about Nom and him going home.
Oh yeah.
So for him, he really had a rough turn of events, right? So
this was just bad.
Even though he didn't want to be partners with Lolo anymore, right? He goes from having one of the better partners in the game to not having a partner to having his back completely destroyed, then having the worst partner that you can have in the game, then being forced to go home because of back injury. Right?
Was he really? Did he really have one of the best partners? Because at no point did it really feel like Lolo was a good partner.
Here,
there's two other partners in the game that you could make the argument for that she was better than.
I think in the game, I'd almost rather have somebody with a little bit more connections than Lolo. At least that way you can get into an elimination.
I'm just talking about physically.
Yes, but no. I feel like Lolo running an individual final is better.
Physical stat. Like Johnny's won 7 seasons. How much of an athlete is he, really?
Yeah, but he's also in way more.
No, sure, but I'm saying he's been very good at the show, and he's not in the top 20 male athletes on the show.
Yeah, he is. Top 20?
I would say he's top 10. He's in
top
really
10
good
athletes,
shape.
Straight up athletes, no way.
He's not
an athlete. Dude. He's in good shape with good endurance, and he's smart. That's what it takes to win the challenge. Is be in good enough shape.
I don't think in terms of just a strict athlete like Spark score, I don't think he's in the top 10. I think that's.
He's good athleticism. He's strong. He has good endurance.
But
he's agile
too. An average dude you see at Burger King, sure. But I think compared to the rest of people on the show, no way he's in the top 10 athletes.
I think it depends on how you're defining athlete.
Spark score, just strict athletic profile.
That's bullshit because they're not doing any endurance.
Well, how are you saying Lolo's one of the top athletes then? What are you doing that for?
They're not doing any endurance in Spark score because she's in the.
How are you saying Lolo's one of the top athletes?
In the fucking Olympics.
I understand, that type of athlete. Type of athlete.
There's more than one way to define athlete.
Exactly. I'm saying for that metric of being an athlete, he's not in the top 10.
If we're defining whether or not you can be in the Olympics, what's the pool that we're talking about here for people?
I'm saying for just strict average Joe what they conceive athleticism is in the top 10.
So if we define athleticism based off of what it takes to be an athlete on the challenge, I think Lolo is still. I know that's different, but I'm saying Lolo is still within that group, and I think Johnny is within that group too.
Why is Lolo shown to be within that group? She hasn't done anything.
I would take her. So which one of the women would you take her over beside Casey and Cam? Or not take her over beside Casey and Cam?
Left? I mean, I'd still kind of rather be partnered with somebody with like an Amber B that just has more connection.
I'm not talking about partners. Let's leave that aside for the moment.
Yeah, she's probably fair.
Okay. Just because I didn't want to conflate the two. How did we even start talking about this? Oh, we were talking about Nom.
Well, Trace, you were saying he has one of the better competitive partners on the show, and Trace disagreed.
I disagree, and I think that if Lolo was running a final by herself versus running with a partner, it's a different thing. She has proven to be
I could see her getting really just like frustrated and not being able to complete like the other parts of the final.
Yeah, I agree with you because it's possible. I think the bigger thing here is we actually have some track record here. They had that one physical mission carrying the cylinder thing. They did not perform well together.
Yeah, like
it was not
did they
good.
come in? It was like
seventh.
It was like
seventh or something. Yeah,
out of like 14 or 7 out of 11.
14.
It was like 11. It
wasn't very good.
It was not good.
Yeah, I think they saw a ton of people.
I would not have been afraid of Lolo and Nom as a team in a final. I would have been more scared of like Lolo and CT or Lolo and Darrell. Like that would have been interesting. I don't know how she would have held up mentally running that final because we have shown that she gets really flustered, and when she gets flustered, she can't perform. Like she just can't.
Do you think he would have rather, all of that being said, do you think he would have rather, and I'm asking this from the perspective of me just asking without actually have thought about the answer yet. So do you think he would have rather had Lolo as a partner or Big T as a partner?
Oof.
Who? Nom?
Yeah.
I think he was just done. I think he would have said, look, just give me Big T. I'll try to make it work.
Yeah. I think mentally he just needed to get away from Lolo. I think he was just done. Agree.
All right. So Nom goes home.
And I hope we see him back, by the way.
They need to have like him and Alon be a team from World of Worlds 1. Have like the injured but not forgotten.
Yeah, I really would love to see Nom again. It was very apparent that his English at the beginning of the season was not awesome. By the end of when it was fine, but his English got better and his understanding of idioms got better throughout the season.
Yeah.
And so he got funnier by the end of the season because I think he felt more comfortable speaking English. So I really would love to see him come back again because I feel like we'd see a different side of him for the whole season.
He had a lot of screen time towards the end of the season. So I'm looking at the confessional counts through last night. He has more confessionals than Amber B, Casey, and that's pretty much about it.
So much of Lolo and Nom just fighting.
Mm-hmm. But I will say, like, it was the stuff the last few episodes has been entertaining and funny from him when he was saying, "Love you, Lolo." Wait, no, not love you, like you, love. No, like that was really funny.
A lot less Lolo and Nom as arguing.
Hey, can we at least agree that it was not nearly as bad as Jenna Zach from last year? Like, can we just agree on that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a very low bar to clear.
That's the point. Oh my gosh. Was there anything else from this episode that kind of hangs out from you guys?
I mean, there really wasn't that much that happened. It was like the explosion at the beginning and then kind of just a fallout from that. Like there wasn't like a constantly evolving action.
Yep. I feel like if we had an hour-long episode instead of an hour and a half, we would have never had anything from the hot springs that occurred. The hot springs stuff occurred because there's a 90-minute episode.
Maybe a very, very quick, brief thing, but like, yeah, that would have been about it.
It was like from the ruins where they were on the pirate ship for like 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah. I guess we should probably just do power rankings now. I know Trace has to dip in a few minutes.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. How much time do we have? We have like
I got like 15. I got 15.
15?
All right. Someone.
All right.
Devin, are you willing to make a Cam versus Casey bet with me?
Yeah, fuck yeah! You're finally ready.
I haven't really. When was I out on a Cam versus Casey bet? I didn't know I was on the table.
I thought we were talking about who would win the final between them, weren't we? Dude, I'm sure Trace, this has come up, right?
No, it was Lolo and
We've been arguing about Lolo. I didn't remember the Cam versus Casey.
Lolo has been a part of all of these prop bets.
Oh, I feel like I thought we had talked about Cam versus Casey. I've been ready to do that.
We almost made a bet with him on after episode 1 where I was going to take Cam versus the field with you, but I didn't like the odds you were giving me.
All right, so I'm gonna go here. I'll go real quick. So women will stay completely unchanged for me. I'll go Casey, Cam, Amber, B. For the men, that's tough. Because the reason that I had Fessy ahead of CT and Darrell was primarily because of the fact that
Casey,
Fessy had
you should probably have Leroy budging in there at some point.
Yeah.
Well, what earlier in the season you said you thought he was second best after Darrell running a final?
I said who was second best?
Leroy. And he's got Casey, and he's got a skull, and he's got like no.
Well, I'm still not convinced that. I'm still not convinced. I still think that there's a certain chance that they won't compete the finalist pairs.
Yeah, I do. Too.
And if they do,
I think if Fessy wins at any point, he's taking Casey back.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
And that has to be in his calculus, right? I think don't you think he's going to make a play to go back in at some point?
Well, he's mentioned it a few times that the reason why like Kyle didn't put him in, for example, was that he didn't want Fessy to get the chance to leave Anissa.
There are a lot of people that want to be Fessy's partners too. It seems like. I wonder if
I suppose so.
I'm gonna go. I really want to put Darrell 1. I really want to put Darrell 1, Fessy 2, CT 3. All right, I'm gonna do that. I'll just do that. Darrell, Fessy, CT, and then overall, I'll go Casey, Cam, Darrell, Rob.
Cam, Amber B, Casey. Then CT, Darrell, Leroy.
Rob and mine's power rankings are exactly the same, and here's why.
Well, I haven't given my overall power rankings.
Okay, give your overall.
And yeah, Cam, CT, Darrell.
We have the exact same power rankings. Here's why. If this thing stays partners, which I am beginning to buy into the fact that it's going to stay partners. I mean, they could still go individual, and I still think that's on the table, but they have put such an emphasis on teams and the partner swapping and rogue agents, and who knows, maybe they're going to say everybody's a rogue agent in the final. Who knows? I could see it. But if this thing stays partners, with the teams configured the way they are right now, I think CT and Cam are the best team. So CT, Darrell, Leroy, and then you're going to get Cam, Amber B, because she's connected to Darrell, and then Casey with Leroy. I think those three teams, barring any crazy twist, are going to stay intact until the final. So when I look at the power rankings of the teams, that's the way they shake out. So then I would say it's Cam, CT, and Casey.
I think there's a decent chance Fessy works his way to take Casey. Because I really think there's a decent chance we run the final. There's 4 pairs in the final, and we get to 5, and they do a double elimination or something.
I agree, because I feel like they've lost enough people, and they had a certain number of episodes to deliver.
We're supposed to have 17, right? And
17, and I think 19 with the reunions. And so we're on 12. There's no way this thing's going to stretch out 7 episodes of actual gameplay. We are looking at 5.
Put it past them. I would not put anything past these guys.
We're looking at 5 more episodes. And so I am leaning towards the fact that we're going to get 1 more male elimination and 2 more female eliminations, and then we're done.
That would make sense. And then 2 episodes for the final.
And then there might be a purge and a final.
Yeah, like the last team or 2 gets launched.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's where we're heading.
In that episode right before the final, yeah, that would make sense.
Who was your overall choice?
Cam, CT, and Casey. Not Casey, Darrell, excuse me. Cam, CT, Darrell. So yeah, and the reason that Cam has now vaulted finally to the top of my power rankings is it's very apparent that whomever is Cam's partner is going to be good. She's not going to get stuck with the worst male, and she is by far the best female. So as long as she doesn't get stuck with, I mean, really any of these guys have the potential to win. There's not a bad person
Like, who's
left.
the worst one left at this point? I'd probably honestly say Fessy is probably the one I'd want to run a final with least.
I would say it's probably between him and Kyle, not because they're both bad.
What, you mean out of the people that have skulls, or
Yeah,
Everybody.
of the guys left, of the 6 guys that are left.
Corey?
Corey was better than them last year, dude.
Corey was better than Fessy.
We need to go back and watch that. Didn't like one of them give up or something?
Well, the only one who kind of gave up was on the second day. Corey passes Kyle, sees Johnny wins, and then stops trying because there's no point in getting stacked.
Didn't Fessy smoke people on one of the legs?
No, Corey smoked Fessy on the first day.
Corey Fessy sucked on the first leg and then got eliminated by Johnny.
On the first day, but Corey torched everybody.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the thing, though? Because Fessy was upset that he made some decision that he should have... Do you remember what I'm talking about? He did like...
No, we've had this debate multiple times.
No. He was really upset that he just didn't go into elimination anyway, because if he would have, there was something screwy with the way that they decided who slept outside, remember? And he was really upset.
You had to win the day or win the elimination.
The second day of that final and the elimination for that final was ridiculous. But what happened was Corey beat everybody. Then he puts Johnny in against Rogan. And then Johnny gets to sleep inside after winning the Mosley special of an elimination. And Fessy was like, look, I could have just beaten Johnny in that. And then 2, like... then
they made him and Kyle stay outside, and they were supposed to stay outside all night until it got so cold they let them go inside, but they wouldn't let them lay down. They had to still stand inside.
That might be one of the worst eliminations of all time.
It was really bad. It's right up there with pop culture bike jump in terms of ideas.
All right.
So, but anyway, So I'm all in on the fact that I think Cam is going to be on the winning team unless Darrell and Amber just smoke show the thing.
Yeah, that's the only way I really don't see her winning at this point. I mean, maybe Leroy, I don't know, maybe something happens with him and he's able to win. I really think Cam. Have I moved Cam off the favorite for the female side at all?
I think you did at one point.
I think you did.
I might have
once.
had Natalie above her at one point, but
I think you had Natalie 1 for a little bit. But once Natalie was gone, Cam's been your number 1 the whole time.
I remember after the first episode, I felt really strongly about her, and then I kind of backed off of it a little bit.
I'll be the first to admit that I was very anti-Cam can win this season. Like, I just didn't think she had what it took because she hasn't so far. But now, as this season has played out, I was wrong. Like, I think she is the female favorite.
She's been good. It's not like she's gone to finals and has been bad. Like, she's gone to finals and she's been good. And Vendetta, she has the Mercenaries thing, which screws her over. And then the World of Worlds 2 final, like, it was a team final. How much stock can you put in it, really?
Yeah. And I think my thing with Cam is I always felt like Cam played into her character more than she focused on winning. Because she was like, she made that huge move and it wound up not mattering. And everybody was like, oh, Cam making moves. And then it didn't matter. I've just always felt she's overplayed her hand too fast. Like she tries to be too aggressive too early, and being too aggressive too early always comes back to bite you in the challenge. And this season,
I think people could stand to be a bit more aggressive politically on the show. I think
right, but that's not the majority of the cast. This season, actually, I would say they were way more aggressive. I don't know that I agree with that. I feel like this cast has been more aggressive than past casts.
It definitely wasn't as passive as last season. Last season was ridiculous. Everybody was just...
I think mentally everybody was fried and didn't want to make waves.
So you did have... You've had her number 1 for the women overall. For some reason, I thought you did have Natalie in there.
I had her and Natalie close at one point, but I didn't think I knew I had Darrell number 1 overall for a little bit, but I never thought I moved Cam off.
Overall, yeah, you did have Darrell for like a month.
Yeah, I know that. But for the woman, I never moved her off number 1, right?
Correct. Yeah. All right, cool.
Wait, how much are we betting on Cam versus Casey?
Let's do $10. What are we gonna bet? What's the wager?
Just placement at this point. I'm more comfortable making that now just because we're so close. Like, I don't think either of them are getting eliminated.
Overall placement? I'll do 10.
I want to do more than 10.
I know you do.
You want to make up the losses you've had so far this year?
It hasn't been that bad. I have Trevor Lawrence money coming in. I'll be okay.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just
that one's
mostly
like
pissed off about the
like
Lolo.
$5,
I
isn't
would
it?
feel like I was proven right on Lolo, but I couldn't get him to make any bets with me that I actually liked.
What do you
Yeah,
mean? I was taking her against anyone.
yeah.
No, I offered her against Cam. You said no.
I think we just couldn't. There was an issue with that
The
because like,
odds were
wanted-
No,
did
we
not
you
should
want
be
odds?
favorable.
50-50 odds. We don't need odds.
You
I don't know
y'all
if
were
we did do
talking
that.
odds. You were wanting like 3-1, and he's like, "I'm not doing it."
I remember
3-1.
I'm just mostly mad at myself for making the Tory bet with Lolo, which I didn't even believe in, but it was the only one I could get across with him.
Well, see, that one was to me the scariest bet because I knew Lolo was not going to make the final based on watching champs. Like there was zero chance she was going to make it to the final. The question was how long did she hang around, and that's why I never wanted to get involved with it
She
because
couldn't have had this meltdown like week 3 or something. Come
yeah,
on,
she literally could have melted down week 3 and been gone, or she could have gotten to the
give
near
me 20
the end.
on Cam versus Casey.
No.
We did 20 on Tory versus Lolo.
This is my whole thing, Rob. Like I'm not like making like a bunch of like I'm not gonna make like one huge bet and like wipe away like everything that I've won.
Yeah.
How
about
much have
this?
you won? Has it been that
I've
bad?
won a lot. Like you, the only
He's
one
won
that
like $40.
the only one that I feel confident that you'll probably get is the Trevor Lawrence one, and I got 3-1 odds on that. So you're gonna win $5, and I could have won 15 on that. And then I won Lolo versus Natalie.
I got the Lolo versus not. Like he got hurt, so does that count?
No, we got to watch that. I mean, we watched the Natalie one too.
That's a wash.
We watched the
Yeah.
Natalie one, so yeah, it's fine.
Would
'Cause that's
anybody
not-
take
it's
$10
not within-
on Amber over Casey? Because I want Amber over
Oh,
Casey.
I would take Amber over Casey. Do you give me
Amber
odds on that, Devin?
I'll think
Yeah,
about
give
it.
me odds on Amber versus Casey.
Because I would put $10 that Amber places higher than Casey.
I just think she's gonna stick with Darrell, and I trust Darrell.
I do too. I trust Darrell way more than I trust Fessy right now.
We had the Trump inauguration, whether or not he would be the president, removed as president before inauguration. We had
we have the pairs bet, which I feel pretty good about.
I still feel okay about that. We had the Lolo.
I really think it's going to be pairs, and the Drew Lock bet. I feel
well. So the thing is, like, it's
okay with.
the pairs is not necessarily that they compete as pairs. It's the well, I guess that's semantics, right? So they can
we'll see how it plays out. I think Trace, you're going to have to make a judgment on that for us because it could be kind of like
no, because like it's that if. The way that we agreed on this is very clear. So it's the pairs that enter.
We can have
the
Trace
final.
write these bets down. I feel like you're writing these bets down in a way that favors you.
No. We agreed on this very explicitly. The pairs that enter the final for season 36 of the challenge will not place as pairs in the final. So
that was the bet.
Yeah. So they can mix them up and finish with different pairs, and that doesn't count. Or they compete as individuals, and that doesn't count too.
Okay, but like, what if they do a twist where somebody can steal money from somebody else? Then I'm in the clear.
Yes, you're in the clear because they finished the final with the same partner.
That's what I want.
Yeah, that's the thing. Whoever you start the final with as your partner, you have to run the entire partner final. Like if
I really need Breeze and Roethlisberger to retire to help me out with this Drew Lock bet.
Yeah, you do. Like, dude, I think a lot of that. We're running up on time. I think a lot of that from the Broncos is a smokescreen, though. Are they still the favorite? No, that they're going to fucking get rid of him. And they
get Watson? No, I think the Panthers moved ahead of them now.
That they just want to try and like increase his perceived value. You know what I mean? Like I don't.
Well, are you sure they don't just sign like Fitzpatrick or something and roll with Watson for the first few weeks?
No, there's no way.
Like my thinking was that they'll do what the Bears did with Trubisky this year, where Trubisky starts the first few weeks, then Foles comes in and is terrible, and they go back to Trubisky.
Yeah, well, I'm more and more convinced that the footballs are drafting a QB.
Wow, let's see what happens.
The fact that they're going to release Alex Smith,
we got to get moving. Once we get to too much football talk, then we lose.
We lose half of our audience.
At least half.
Thank you for listening, everyone. Yeah, thank you for listening.
Send us emails.
Send us emails at thechallengechronicles@gmail.com. Hopefully you'll be able to find this, the video version of this on YouTube, and we'll talk to you again next week. Thanks. Bye.